Hi everyone, welcome to Atrium Research's YouTube channel. Today I have the pleasure of interviewing Elaine Ellingham, the CEO of Omai Gold Mines, which trades under the symbol OMG on the TSXV. Elaine, great to have you back.
Great, thanks. Good to talk to you. It's been a little while, I think.
We haven't done an update in close to 6 months now, and I know you've got a lot going on there. I believe you're down in Guyana right now, is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the drilling started, so have to be down here where the action is for sure.
Yeah, that's great. So, and I do understand you're going to treat the viewers here with a little tour towards the end of this video. But first, we'll kick it off with maybe a quick intro into OMI for the viewers that don't know the story. Then we can get into the nitty gritty on what's going on right now on site and everything that we're looking forward towards the back half of this year and into next.
Sure. Omai, as you know, our project's in Guyana, which is on the north coast of South America. And we've been working on the project for about 3 years. We've done 3 resource estimates and big milestones for us, and then a PEA, or first economic assessment, in April. So we've been very driven by the milestones. So we're currently sitting at a 43-101 resource of 4.3 million ounces, 2 orogenic gold deposits. And so we did the economic study. I call it a baseline study on just the open pit deposit. And so it comes out at about a 1.8 million ounce open pit producer, with a net present value of about 556 million. Yeah, so we were really pleased with that, but we believe that's just the beginning. It incorporates only 45% of our resource, so obviously there's room to expand that mine plan, and that's one of our main objectives. So in our PEA, 13-year mine life, about 140,000 ounce production a year. That's great, but Omai was actually a past producing mine. It was the largest gold producer in South America at the time. And so again, with what we see and what we've actually found to date and discovered, new mineralization, extensions along strike, we believe it can be a huge mine again.
Yeah, that's great. And you guys have taken leaps and bounds over the last year. Um, and just on some context there, following the PEA, you guys were able to raise, firstly, the stock has done very well over the last 6-8 months. And then you guys were able to raise $13 million or so, which now leads into the next part of our discussion, which is what you guys are working on now, the 10,000 meter program that you announced just a couple months ago, and all of the drilling and exploration that you're doing. So maybe could you just break a little bit of that down for us?
Yeah, absolutely. And basically, as soon as we closed the financing, which was quite substantial for us, we mobilized to drill one drill the next week. And then we've just, that's why I'm down here, we just mobilized the second drill this week. So basically, we have in our economic model, we have worked on a fairly tight budget, as you know. So our deposit is 2.5, the Wenot deposit is 2.5 kilometers long, right? And the good news is that despite the fact there was a small past producing pit, over 80% of our PEA resource is above 300 meters. So it's still pretty shallow. But you can imagine our drill spacing is pretty wide. There are some zones that we had not actually drilled, so they're in the PEA pit as waste. And we know that those zones continue. There are some zones on the south side of our deposit that there's gaps of 750 meters that we haven't yet drilled. So we know that by doing some of that drilling, we're very confident some of that will actually come into the resource, and that will boost the economics of the PE, of the economics of that pit. So our objectives are really to enhance the economics, expand the mine plan. We know we can expand the mine plan. We're only looking at one of the 2 deposits right now. Yep. And also, just from the drilling that we've done, we can see very clearly Wenot is a huge deposit. Mm-hmm. So the resource on it's now 2.4 million ounces, 1.5 grams, 1.51 grams. So, that's a pretty healthy grade. But like we just see so much more expansion potential. And that's partly what I'm down here with one consultant. And we're just looking at like how big can this thing get? So our drilling is going to be in several of our different areas, Ben. So the gaps are a priority from enhancing the economics perspective. We know we can extend along strike. We're actually going to do a few holes so to expand at depth, to test at depth. Because the deepest hole we've tested to date, the deepest hole we've actually tested to date was only 440 meters. And that's pretty shallow with respect to orogenic gold deposits. We know the grade is increasing at depth. So we're going to put 3 more holes at the level of that deepest hole, which hit 5.18 grams per ton over 20.2 meters.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're going to step out 150 meters and we're going to put 3 more of those holes. That will have the effect, we believe that will expand the inferred resource quite a bit, and also that it could lower that whole pit. And so it's kind of, basically it's expansion, expansion, expansion. That's what we're working on.
Yeah. And that's where the idea of the baseline PEA, because there's a lot more upside. It was just more of a matter of you wanting to depict the great economics of this asset, even with what you previously had or currently have. And just on that, I maybe you can talk about the costs of the PEA, and in that the AISC was just over $1,000 per ounce, cash costs just over $900 per ounce. So obviously a very low cost operation, but maybe you could just speak to the fact that it's a brownfields operation and there's some opportunity there for this to be an easy asset to put into production.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things is it has road access, and it's not just old road access from the mining days. We're actually only about 8 or 9 kilometers off the main corridor road that runs from Georgetown, the capital of Guyana, down to the Brazilian border. And so, as a lot of people might know, there's a real oil boom going on. The offshore oil business is just expanded and expanded. So the economic prosperity and basically the money coming in the coffers of the government is expanding. They're putting a lot of effort into infrastructure, and we're very fortunate because one of the projects is paving that road. And so we're going to have a paved road to within 8 kilometers, Great. Probably by year end, which is incredible. So also when the mine was in production, basically the community of Linden, which is about 90 kilometers away, was the main part of the workforce. And there's still an open pit bauxite operation there. So we have a very readily available, relevant skilled workforce. Mm-hmm. So I mean, they're very enthusiastic for good jobs. And as you know, large scale mines offer excellent job opportunities. So, that's another thing. We have a 13-year mine life in our mine plan. We're pretty confident without a lot of effort, we can extend that and make sure we have at least a 20-year mine life. But when you look at the deposit as a whole, you think this is a 20+ year mine. Yeah. So the other thing is, this was a past producing mine. So when it comes to metallurgy, as somebody said to me, there's nothing like a 40 million ton bulk sample. You pretty much have a good handle on the metallurgy. There is a bit of metallurgical work we want to do because, you always want to make sure there's no, you've got everything covered. We've got existing tailings facilities here, 2 alternatives actually. So again, lower cost and the EPA knows the project well, the Environmental Protection Agency here. Their rules are very similar to what you would see in other jurisdictions, but they move a lot faster. And, there is support from the government to bring mines into production.
Yeah, that's all great. And even on site specifically, the ground is cleared, it's all ready to go, it's clean. Yeah. Versus some of your peers have, like you said, definitely not a paved highway within 8 kilometers of site. And certainly the site itself isn't as ready to go as your project. And just on the metallurgy, I'll remind viewers that the PA depicted a recovery of 92+%, which is obviously fantastic. And like you said, 1.5 grams per ton at an open pit baseline is very strong, and the costs will show that, especially given where gold is right now, which I think the PEA used 1950 gold, and we're sitting above 2,500. So there's lots of benefits there. And Elaine, just before we moved on to the exciting part of this interview, in terms of catalysts, obviously you guys are doing a lot of work down on site right now. You've been drilling for over a month, so I would imagine drill results are expected to start rolling in the near term. Could you just walk us through the next, until the end of the year, in terms of catalysts that are coming in the pipeline?
Right, and absolutely. With 2 drills going, we're drilling, roughly pretty fast, about 1,800 meters a month. So with 2 drills, we're going to have a lot of drilling. Fantastic, because it's not like we don't know where to drill. We have so many potential areas. It's kind of like, oh, let's do that and that and that. So it is going to be a lot of drill results, and like we have a number of different mandates, each of which are important to our objectives. And so we will be drilling a few holes in each of those, right? So yeah, it's going to be a lot of drill results. We have a permit application in with the environmental permit group, and we do want to move forward on some things that sort of push the project towards the production scenario. And since we are working in a past producing mine, there are a few things we can do just to push ourselves in that direction. But yeah, I would say most of that. And I think based on what we're looking at and that amount of drilling, we're pretty sure that we're going to want to do an updated resource estimate probably at year end, coming out mid-January.
Great.
The targets are there, and I think we can really, as you probably remember, Ben, last year we worked on a fairly tight budget, and we had set our target of trying to add 200 to 400,000 ounces on the Winhot deposit, and we added 560,000 ounces.
Yeah.
So, and that was with a really tight budget. So we remain really optimistic that that we can take Winhot up. I don't know if we can. We're at 2.4 million ounces for Winhot, but we might be able to get to 3 million ounces.
And that'll boost the economics again of a revised PEA quite substantially.
And larger mine plan. Yep.
Well, no, that's all very exciting. We are looking forward to the back half of this year. I know it's been relatively quiet for the last few months since the PEA in terms of news flow, so I'm sure shareholders and investors will be excited by what's to come. And just with that, I know you're going to give us a little bit of a tour of the core shack. And I know we say core shack, but this is a pretty substantial building you've got there. So maybe now we can hop off and hop back on video there. Okay, and Elaine, we've got you back here in the core shack. So why don't you give us a little tour?
Yeah, great. I'd love to, Ben. Yeah, so we're actually in some of the old warehouses that were left over from the mining operation. So they're not glamorous, but I would say that for an exploration operation, they're pretty amazing. So so we store all our core inside. Obviously that's part of the asset. You don't want to have anything happen to that. So, and then we are sort of very fortunate to have a very large core shack, and so it is inside, and you can see we can lay out a lot of drill holes all at the same time. So this is sort of some of our geos here, and there it's Andreas Rincon on the right, and it's Joel Gillen on the left. Do you guys want to say hello? Yeah. Yeah. So these are 2 of our geologists, and obviously we log the core, we sample the core. A lot of it's feeding into a database. We have a cloud-based system. We're actually on Starlink now, so it's great. So all the data goes into the cloud system, and you can see that they've been sampling here, and you've probably seen lots of samples in your time, but so they all get bagged up, double bagged, and lots of labels on them and things like that. And so we have a team of geologists, but we also have several geotechs, and a lot of the geotechs in Guyana have like 15, 20 years experience, so they're know what they're doing. Hey, Ben, say hi. Thanks. Sorry, he's another Ben.
Yeah.
So I think that's sort of, and so it's just a quick there. So what we do is we also photograph all the core. So it's up in the cloud as well. So it's kind of cool because when you get assay results, you can actually go on to it and I can look at the core and they take pictures of it when it's whole and after it's split in half, after it's been cut. So, you know, obviously everybody's sort of seen the core stuff, but I don't know. Yeah, so that's up in the saprolite, obviously not the pretty stuff, but I don't know if we have any of the good zones out, but anyway, you get the idea. And then actually we can pop outside here. So we cut the core outside because there's a lot of water that sprays around. And so we have a core saw. We're just bringing in a second core saw because that's one of the time consuming things that we have to do. And I don't know if you can see, but you can't see the pit, but that's sort of a clear side as you can see. And that's actually one of the old waste dumps you see in the background. Yeah. So about 100 degrees Fahrenheit every day and 97% humidity, but yeah, and there we got bunkies over there. So we can accommodate about, I guess, 60 people here. Anyway, hopefully that was a little bit interesting.
Yeah, this has been fantastic. This is obviously very unique to our channel here, so we appreciate it, Elaine. And I know that you got to get back to work here, but again, thanks for taking the time today. Thanks for the interview, and we look forward to seeing all the results to come over the next few months here.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks, Ben.
Great. Take care.